Hello, this is Yuri with a new original story from my The Tales History channel. You must be joking. Tatiana stared at Ivan Petrovich with wide eyes. He shook his head. No, I'm not joking. But I'll give you time to think, because the offer really is unusual. I even understand what it must be associated with in your mind. Think it over, weigh everything, and I'll stop by in a week. Tanya watched him leave with a bewildered look. She couldn't even wrap her head around everything he had just told her. She had known Ivan Petrovich for 3 years. He owned a chain of gas stations and some other businesses. Tanya worked as a cleaner at one of those stations. Ivan Petrovich always greeted everyone with a smile and chatted with the employees. He was a good man. The pay at the station was decent, and there were always plenty of people who wanted to work there. One day, about 2 months ago, Tanya was sitting outside after finishing her cleaning. She had some free time now. She only needed to clean up right before the end of her shift. The back door opened, and Ivan Petrovich stepped out. "May I sit down?" Tanya jumped up. "Of course, why are you even asking? And why did you jump up? Sit down, I don't bite." He smiled. "Nice weather today." Tanya smiled back and sat down. Yes, when spring comes, the weather always seems nice. Probably because we're all tired of the cold and snow. Maybe you're right. I've been meaning to ask, why do you work as a cleaner? I've heard Laris offered you a job as an operator several times. Better pay, cleaner work. I'd love to, but I can't because of the schedule. My daughter is little, and she's sick. When she's doing okay, a neighbor stays with her. But when it gets bad, I need to be there myself. So Ivanovna and I work it out. She always meets me halfway. We swap shifts when we need to." "I see. What's wrong with your daughter?" "Oh, don't ask. No doctor has been able to figure it out. She has these attacks, she can't breathe, panics, and a lot of other things. The doctors just throw up their hands. They say she needs serious tests, but they don't do them for free. They told me to wait until she's older, and maybe it'll go away on its own." Strange doctors, indeed. Well, hang in there. Everything will be fine. Tanya thanked him, and that evening, she found out Ivan Petrovich had given her a bonus. He didn't say why, just gave it to her. She hadn't seen him since then. But today, he came to her house. Tanya almost fainted first when she saw him, and then when she heard what he was offering. His son, almost 30 years old, had been in a wheelchair for 7 of those years after an accident. No matter what the doctors did, he couldn't walk. He had fallen into a deep depression, and lately hadn't even wanted to talk to his father. Ivan Petrovich had an idea. His son needed to get married for real, so he'd have a reason to live, a reason to fight. Ivan Petrovich wasn't sure about anything, but he decided to try. And he thought Tanya was the perfect candidate. "Tatiana, you'll live well. You'll have everything. Your daughter will get all the tests she needs. I'm offering you a job for a year. After a year, you leave no matter what. Whether my saint gets better or not, I'll pay you very well." Tanya was too shocked to find words, and Ivan Petrovich seemed to understand everything. "Tanya, please, help me. Agree, it's a win-win. I'm not even sure my son will touch you, but you'll have an easier life, being respectable, and officially married. Just think of it as marrying without love. I only ask one thing. No matter what you decide, keep this conversation between us." "Wait, Ivan Petrovich. I'm just curious, does your saint even agree to this?" The man smiled sadly. "I'll tell him I have business or health problems or something else. I just need him to be married. For real. Saint has always trusted me. So this lie will be for his own good." Ivan Petrovich left, and Tanya sat there for a long time. She was outraged by the offer, but his honest words softened the blow. When she thought about what she was capable of for Sonia, the answer was a lot. And he was a father, too, who loved his son. Her shift wasn't even over when she got a call. "Tanya, hurry, Sonia's having a bad attack." "I'm coming, I'll call an ambulance." Tanya and the ambulance arrived at the gate at the same time. "Where have you been, young lady?" the doctor asked sternly. "I was at work. This attack was really bad." Tanya timidly asked, "Should we take her to the hospital?" The doctor, who had been to their house before, sighed wearily. "What's the point? You know they won't do anything there, you'll just upset the child. You need to take her to the capital, to a good clinic, to good specialists." 40 minutes later, The doctors left. Tanya picked up the phone and called Ivan Petrovich. I agree. Sonya's in trouble again. The next day, they were leaving. Ivan Petrovich himself came to pick them up, accompanied by a young, clean-shaven man. Tanya, only take the essentials. Well, buy everything else. She nodded. Sonya looked at the big car with interest. Ivan Petrovich crouched in front of the girl. Do you like it? Want to ride in the front seat? You'll see everything. Can I? I really want to. Sonya looked at her mother, who said sternly, What if the police see you? They'll give us a ticket. Ivan Petrovich laughed and opened the door. Come on, Sonya. We'll pay the fine ourselves. As they got closer, Tanya grew more nervous. God, why did I agree to this? What if he's some kind of monster? Ivan Petrovich noticed her state. Tanya, calm down. We still have a week until the wedding. You can change your mind. And Saint Hay's a good guy, smart, but something in him is broken. You'll understand yourself. Tanya got out of the car, helped her daughter out, turned around, and froze. It wasn't a house, it was a castle. Sonya couldn't stay quiet. Mom, are we going to live like in a fairy tale? Ivan Petrovich laughed and picked up the little girl. Do you like it? Yes, very much. Before the wedding, Tanya and Saint only saw each other a few times at dinner. He barely ate and barely spoke. He was just there, and Tanya stole glances at him. He was handsome, in a way, but pale, probably because he never went outside. She understood he felt no better than she did and was grateful that Saint never brought up the wedding. On the day of the ceremony, it seemed like 100 people were running around her. The dress had arrived just yesterday. When Tanya saw it, she almost fainted. How much does this cost? Ivan Petrovich smiled. Tanya, you're so impressionable, better not to know. By the way, look what else I have. He pulled out a tiny replica of her dress. Sonya, want to try it on? The little princess marched importantly around the room in her beautiful dress. At one point, Tanya turned and saw Saint. He was standing at the open door of his room, watching Sonya, a slight smile on his face. Sonya's room was now next to their bedroom. Their bedroom! Tanya couldn't imagine what would happen next. Ivan Petrovich suggested they go to the country house, but Saint shook his head. Thanks, Dad, we'll stay home. The bed was huge. Saint was far away and didn't seem to have any intention of coming closer. So Tanya, who had planned to stay up all night, fell asleep quickly. A week passed. She and Saint even talked sometimes in the evenings. He really was incredibly smart and made no advances. Tanya slowly began to relax. One night, she woke up suddenly. Something was wrong. Her heart was pounding. She rushed into her daughter's room. Sure enough, Sonya was having an attack. Saint, help! Call an ambulance! He was already in his wheelchair at the door, quickly grabbing the phone. A minute later, a sleepy Ivan Petrovich ran in. I'll call Alexei. The paramedics were unfamiliar. They must have been from a different service. Their uniforms and equipment were different. Then the family doctor arrived. The doctors conferred for a long time after the attack ended. Tanya stayed with her daughter, Saint beside them. He held the girl's hand in his. Tatiana, how long has she had this? Since birth. We've been to the hospital so many times, had all kinds of tests, but nothing. That's why Sonya's father said he didn't want to be tied down. And did you love him? Probably, but it was so long ago. That's why I agreed to your father's proposal. Tanya raised her eyebrows in surprise. Saint just smiled. Father thinks I don't know anything, but have always read him like an open book. I was afraid of who he'd find for me, but when I saw you, I was surprised. You're nothing like the kind of person who'd do anything for money. And now everything seems to have fallen into place. Tanya, don't cry. Well, cure Sonya. She's strong. She hasn't broken, unlike me. And why did you break? You're smart, handsome, kind. He smirked. Tell me, would you have married me like this, under different circumstances? Tanya thought for a second, then nodded. Yes, I think it would be easier to love you than many of those who can walk. But that's not the point. I don't know how to explain it. Saint smiled. You don't need to explain. You know, I believe you for some reason. A few days later, Tanya caught Saint doing something strange. He had pulled out some kind of device and was working with it. It looked like he was exercising. What's that? It's an exercise machine. I should have used it right after the accident, at least 3 hours a day, but I decided nothing would help. But now, I feel ashamed in front of Sonia, in front of you. There was a knock at the door. Ivan Petrovich peeked in. May I come in, Dad? The man froze in the doorway when he saw what his son was doing. Then he swallowed and turned to Tanya. Tell me, did you have a difficult birth? Why? What's going on? Listen, the doctor said Sonia was probably pulled too hard and her temporal bone was damaged. It healed on the outside, nothing's visible. But inside, it's pressing on a nerve. Tanya sat down. That can't be. And what do we do now? Tears streamed down her cheeks. Don't cry. The doctor said it's not that serious, but she needs surgery. They'll remove what's pressing on the nerve, and Sonia will be a normal girl. But it's her head. It's dangerous. Saint reached for her and took her hand. Tanya, listen to Dad. Sonia will be able to live without attacks. And how much does it cost? Ivan Petrovich looked at her in surprise. That's not your concern. Your family now. Tanya was in the hospital with Sonia. The surgery went well. They were promised they'd be home in 2 weeks. Home. And now Tanya didn't know where her real home was. Saint called often, and they talked for a long time with her, with Sonia, just in general. It felt like they'd known each other for 100,000 years. Time passed. The year would end quickly. And then what? Tanya didn't want to think about it. They returned home in the evening. Ivan Petrovich picked them up, looking rather gloomy. What's wrong? I don't even know how to say it. Saint has been drinking for 2 days. How? He doesn't drink at all. He did a month on the exercise machine, snapped, said nothing was working. Tanya went into the room. Saint was sitting in the dark. She turned on the light and started clearing the table. What are you doing? You won't drink anymore. Why not? Because I'm your wife, and I don't like you drinking. Saint was taken aback, then said, well, it's not forever. Sonia's healthy now, so there's no reason to stay with a cripple. Tanya straightened up. Did you mean to say an idiot, Saint? I thought you were strong, smart, that you could do anything. I couldn't have been wrong about you. He lowered his head. I'm sorry. I guess I couldn't handle it. But I'm home now. Maybe we can try again. The year was coming to an end. Ivan Petrovich was very nervous. Saint had just started standing on his own. He couldn't walk yet, but the doctor said at this rate, he'd be running soon. And Tanya should have to leave soon. Maybe he could offer her more money. Tanya, Sonia, and Saint in his wheelchair came in for dinner. Dad, we have news for you. He looked at them fearfully, then only at Tanya. You're leaving? Yes. Tanya and Saint exchanged glances. Tatiana shook her head. Not exactly. Don't keep us in suspense. You'll be a grandfather soon. Sonia's going to have a little brother or sister. Ivan Petrovich was silent for a long time, then just cried. He hugged them all and cried. If you enjoyed the story, please support me with a thumbs up. It's just one click for you, but it means a lot to me. Thank you.